All right, everyone. Welcome to Walkin with HQ. City edition. A little bit different. I am not hiking to pickleball today. I will be walking down into town to get some stuff before it gets warm. So what I wanted to talk about today was the latest PSA drama that's been going around. For anyone that hasn't been paying attention, brief synopsis was basically Pokemon collector who was an experienced submitter sends in 30 some cards. They all come back. He thought he was going to get I think it was 10 to 12 10s. He ended up getting all 8s and 9s. He thought that was wrong, and I guess filed a complaint. But at the same time, he accepted PSA offers on the cards, and then he went back and checked back and noticed that they changed a bunch of the 9s from the 10s, from 9s to 10s. And so everybody was like, oh, PSA is buying these cards through offers and changing the grades, which makes for a good headline, but I mean, I don't. Turns out that they're not the ones that buy the cards anyway, but I don't think they would do that. But that's been the angle that everybody's been attacking this from, which is, they're basically buying cards and then changing the grades so that they can then sell them for 10s, which, like I said, makes for sensational headlines. But I mean, look, I don't trust PSA, but I don't think they would be that silly. If they were gonna do something that scandalous, they would have changed the cert numbers. So yeah, I don't think that's the angle that everybody should be attacking this from. I think the angle that we should be attacking it from is they came out and admitted that something like 11 out of the 30 grades were wrong, and they in fact did change them to 10s, which just shows you how bad and inconsistent PSA grading is. I don't know why nobody's talking about that. They're like, oh yeah, we screwed up on 33% of the cards or 35% of the cards, or whatever. The number doesn't matter. It was over 30%. That's what we should be talking about here, right? We put this huge premium on these 10s, and PSA themselves are kind of admitting that there's an error rate of 30%, more than 30%, 35%, a third, I don't know. That seems like it's kind of a big deal. And I've mentioned it before on here, but I have a buddy who has collected cards for a long time. Very, very meticulous with cards he sends for grading, puts them under the microscope. Doesn't do any funny business like cleaning or anything, but, sends cards that he only thinks should be 10s. Well, for chrome cards. He's actually a baseball collector, but a lot of Bowman chrome type stuff. And whenever he gets 10s back, he immediately cracks them and just resubmits them. Doesn't do funny business, doesn't buy other people's 9s and then crack them. He just knows that what he sends, he thinks they have a really good shot at 10s. So he just takes them and he sends them back. And he basically says that he gets about a third of 9s back as 10s as well, just simply doing this. So I'm pretty comfortable surmising, based on the information that we've gotten recently, plus that information, that PSA, I don't know, let's call it a 33% margin of error rate. Like, I know Cage did a little post on this, and it was like he broke down acceptable error rates for certain industries, whether it be healthcare or manufacturing, and manufacturing, I think he said, for minor defects was like 4%, major defects was like 2%, and healthcare, it's like, obviously it's like 1 in 10,000, he said, was like the error rate. And we're dealing in this hobby / industry where maybe the most important, the most important company outside of the ones that actually make the cards probably have like a 35% error rate. And I say error rate because this is all subjective human grading, and so, like, I guess technically is it an error rate if things are subjective. You can get into the semantics of that. Is it an error or is it not when something truly doesn't have a correct answer? But I guess I'll use error for for something that can be changed for no other reason than someone else looks at it. That seems like a big deal, especially when you consider the premium that we have chosen to apply to said grades. So I don't know. Like, I know there's, like Carl mentions Tag. I think Tag is a good company, a fine company. I don't know. There's probably not a perfect solution. Like, can a computer be wrong? Yes, but a computer should be consistent, and I think that's the thing. And with Tag, you do get full transparency. So at least if they've chosen to give something a grade, then at least you know why, unlike PSA. But I've always said people use PSA. People don't want to know the actual condition of their cards. They just want a PSA 10 because they want to extract full value. And I think that's why PSA is going to stay king for a long time. The reason PSA is king now is because during the pandemic boom, the influencers that came in to make money, and they were talking to their audiences, which cared a lot about money, and they were pushing PSA, and that's kind of how we got to where we are now for people that don't quite that either weren't around or kind of wondering how we got here. So yeah, it's all kind of money based, and it will continue to be money based, and people love being able to get a card or get a 10 on a card that's probably not a 10, or knowing that they can constantly resubmit and get 10s. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at, and I think that's kind of where this whole thing should be focused. But of course we won't, because everybody wants to protect PSA from the grading aspect of it, because everybody has so many PSA slabs, they want to protect their tins. No, I don't need a studio. I love this walking. I don't know. I like the, I don't know. I'm not that serious. Yeah, that's about it. I think the quality was fine. Like I said, I was walking through town. I was worried about more noise. But yeah, so maybe I will put this on the timeline, and so people can